Hey everyone, my name is Jason Jaworska, and I wanted to demo something kind of fun today, which is a Commodore 64 executor for GitLab. And what it lets you do is use an emulator to run anything and do DevOps against a Commodore 64, which is kind of fun. Let me share my screen here, and I'll show you what I've got working in the repository. So this is it here. It's a public project on GitLab if you want to check it out or fork it or anything. And the way it works is the custom executor lets you override different behaviors in the GitLab runner. And so what I've overwritten is the run command. And I've implemented some custom behaviors here, which I'll just quickly walk you through. The important bits here are the first thing that it does is it takes the GitLab CI YAML and outputs it to a .base file. And then uses petcat, which converts files into the file format that a Commodore expects, which then has the name of GitLab CI. It cleans up after itself, removing these intermediary files. And then it creates a disk image, which is going to be mounted. And it adds all of the files that are in the Git repository, as well as the new GitLab CI YAML that we created that can be interpreted in BASIC. And then starts the emulator, attaching the disk image that we just created, and then also specifying that we want the GitLab CI file, which was the one that we created here, to run automatically. After the emulator runs, we unpack the disk image, which now contains an updated file, which I'll show you how we do that in a second. And then it saves that as an artifact, as an output of the build. So if you go look at the GitLab CI YAML, we can see what it's going to do inside of the emulator when it runs. So the funny thing here is that this is now, instead of a bash script inside of the script section, we've got some basic code here. So it'll print out some status of what it's doing. It'll open up a file, an in file, which is here in the repository. So this is to prove that it's actually loading something from the Git repo. It loads that in, prints it back out to a file called new file 3 times, which is a simple example, but just demonstrates the point. It closes that file, so saves it to the disk, and then exits emulation. This is actually a magic code for the emulator that if you poke to this address, it will just quit the emulator, and it's the only way to do that. And then it will use, then back inside of GitLab, it will grab this new file and save it as an artifact. Let's show an example of this. The first thing that I need to do is actually set this up. So I will show how setting up a custom executor works. I've already got the GitLab runner executable installed, and I've also already got the Vice emulator installed, which are both needed. There's instructions here on how to grab those. What I'll show is the creation or the configuration of the runner to set up the custom executor. What we do is GitLab runner install, GitLab register. All right, and then what I need to do here is grab the token that's needed. So don't get too excited. I will change this token after I record this demo. Let's see, runners. This is the previous one that I was just testing locally with. We'll set this up new. Then, so this is the URL we want. Grab the token here. Okay, we can call this C64 exec. No tags are needed. Use the custom executor. So what this did is put a file in here, the config.toml, which contains the configuration that we need to modify. The instructions again are down here with what you need to update. So let's open this up and take a look. Right, so you can see our token is in here. We've got a build stir. I've already put the run exec command in here, so we don't need to do that again. And it looks like, I'm sorry. So this is the previous configuration that we had. I didn't delete it before I started. So let's just do that so we can show setting up from scratch. So the important things to set up here are the build stir and cache stir. Those are required and will be custom for machines. So it's important to include these. Then we also just need this run exec command here. Place this line. The kill timeout stuff doesn't really matter. Cool. Start our runner. All right, and now let's go into our project and make a small change, which should trigger this. We can actually just verify here that our runner was added. Yeah, it does look like it's good and it's green. All right, and then so let's just go into, for example, the GitLab CI YAML and add an additional print statement. Since we're using basic, we get to use line numbers. Hello. All right, that looks good. Now I'll trigger a build. So add hello, commit that, and then we should see the emulator actually come up locally. It would be cool, yeah. So you can see it's running now. Emulator's up. It's loading that file. Said hello. Read in the input content. Writing it now to the output file 3 times and exiting. And we can check the output now to see if we have our little artifact. So this is our pipeline that ran for our hello. I can see that there's an artifact, so let's browse that. It is the new file. If we open this, download it, has no extension, so we have to open it manually. And then we can see here that we did print 3 times hello C64 to the output. So using this, you can do DevOps using Commodore 64 emulator of your choice and do that with GitLab. Which is kind of cool. One thing that you probably saw is that it's in visual mode. So when the emulator comes up, it actually prints to the screen and everything. I haven't been able to find a way to set up all of the output for the emulator going to the terminal, but I believe that's possible. There's also, you could swap out using an emulator with using a basic interpreter that's compatible with a Commodore 64, which is something that I've considered, but there's actually something pretty cool about using a full emulator. Anyway, that's it. I just wanted to show off how this works. Would love to hear your feedback. Other contributions are welcome to improve this. It's just kind of a proof of concept, but yeah, hope you enjoyed that. Thanks.